Oh, I need to do the change. All right, let me get up. Got to shed some weight. All right, the structure of the board has not changed in the last 1 year. We'll still have the board of directors. We have the council of elders. The chief executive and the staff report to the board. On the board, we have members who represent regions, 6 regions, and we have 2 independents who don't represent any of these regions. We also have alternates who, per the former structure of the board, we operated, and our decision that will let them serve their term to the end are still on the board. We have 4 committees of the board. There is the audit, nominations committee, finance, and that of remuneration and compensation. The board currently is occupied by Andrew Halston, who's just gotten on the board this year as an independent, as well as Christian Bob, who's on the Central Africa seat. They have 3. And Chris Seaborn from representing the Indian Ocean. That's our colleague I've sent you update on. Is doing very well in the hospital right now, and we're trusting it will be fine and very fine. Representing North Africa and West Africa is Itham and myself, and also a non-regional director, Aminata Garba, the only lady on the board. We have 1 more year, if you don't count this year. And representing Southern Africa and East Africa, you have Palos, Nyirenda, and Badru Intege. Their tenure will expire in 2015. Adiel Aplogan, the CEO, is appointed to the board. And of course, he has indicated intention to disengage from the company by the 31st of January 2015. The alternates who are still on the board due to our transition process I mentioned, who would be leaving at the end of their tenure in 2015, are Mal Kelkins, representing Southern Africa, and John Walubengo, representing Eastern Africa. In terms of subcommittee composition of the board, for finance, we have Mark, Badru, myself, and Adiel. And for audit, Andrew, Palos, Chris, and John Walubengo. For remunerations and compensation, Aminata, Christian, Badru, Itam, and of course Adiel. And for the nominations committee, we have Mark Hawkins, Sami, Sally, and Leon Samfos. So far in 2014, we've had 9 board meetings, 3 face-to-face and 6 via teleconference. Face-to-face, we met in January when we had a retreat here in Mauritius. We met during the AIS and Afrinic 20 in Djibouti, and we met again for a couple of days here in Mauritius. We did have 2 emergency teleconference meetings when the CEO indicated his intention to resign. The board has made about 12 resolutions in 2014 related to the strategic plan, the budget, the policies, our investment policy, delegation of authority, and the recruitment of a new CEO. And of course, some other minor policy, administrative policy directives. Let me use that term, so somebody won't come back to hit me later that the board is making resource policies. Regarding board proceedings also, we had to deal with the CEO departure and replacement, and I'll be giving a separate presentation on that shortly. We also went through a change in board leadership with Badru Ntege stepping down and myself being elected as chair, while Badru was again re-elected as vice chair. The reason for that change in leadership is to assure continuity because the CEO is leaving, and we thought it would be a bit harsh to have a new CEO next year, a new chairman. We don't have a COO. There will be so much disruption in the system that we thought an orderly transition from now will help achieve stability in the organization. Last but not the least is the board is considering the appointment of Adiel as a non-voting director after his departure to create a bit of institutional memory and a more resilient Afrinic. And, last but not the least is that we have worked on a 2015 to 2019 strategic plan for Afrinic. We had community input in Afrinic 19. The board made additional work at the retreat in January 2014. And as at this meeting here in Mauritius, your board has resolved and passed a resolution to adopt that strategic plan, which will be made public and will serve as a guiding post for Afrinic in the next 5 years. That's it. That's the update from the board. Can I have the second presentation, which is got to do with the CEO recruitment? And I'll run through that too quickly. Just to make sure the 8 minutes does not include the time for the chair, so I don't want people looking at their time. All right. So CEO search update. Background to this is that the incumbent CEO, Adiel, has indicated his intention to disengage from the company with effect from January 31st, 2015, as I mentioned, and in accordance with Section 17 of our bylaws, which specifically says that the directors shall appoint by a majority vote the chief executive officer on such terms and conditions as they may determine. The board then went ahead to initiate a CEO recruitment process. That process is going to be managed by the board, and the board will make a vacancy announcement in accordance with the timeline for the recruitment. Applicants are expected to put in their applications by the 19th of January, and we will then do a long listing. Forgive me. 19th of December 2014. We will then do a long listing, and preliminary interviews will be held online, electronically, to interview and get the list of candidates down, and final stage interviews will be held face-to-face in accordance with the timeline. At that point, we'll check references before we make a final offer of employment to whoever we will. Shortlisted candidates we will also make to take personal profiling exercises and psychometric assessment. And then the board will select the CEO from the final slate of candidates after we have negotiated contracts. So that's the process we will follow. The board has then set up a recruitment committee to manage this process, and chair of that committee is our Egyptian Haitham, followed by Badru, the vice chair, Andrew Alston, myself, the chair, Paulos Nyurenda, and Adiel Aplogan is serving as the secretary of that committee in a non-voting capacity. The terms of reference is clearly spelled out for the committee, and it's on the URL there in the presentation. We have approved as a board various documents by resolution to guide this process. There's a terms of reference of the recruitment committee. There's a recruitment process itself. There's a recruitment timeline, the vacancy announcement which has gone out, and the CEO job description, which would give the prospective applicants exactly what type of ocean they are taking a dive into. All these documents are available on the website for review and for study. And the board did a reality check. We saw that It's possible to get a CEO in 3 months. It's possible to get in 6 months. It's possible not to even get in 6 months. So we wanted to make sure we don't put ourselves in a situation that we really don't know where we started from and where we will end. So we thought the most reasonable thing would be to appoint an interim CEO so that that interim CEO can work with Adiel throughout the month of January for transition, and thereafter serve until we can put in place a CEO. And we thought if we are going to go this route, we must ensure that we don't create other problems in the future. So we wanted to make sure that we will appoint the interim CEO only after the close of applications for 2 reasons. One, we don't want to appoint someone who may have interest in the substantive job and thereby disenfranchise the person. And second, we don't want to appoint somebody who has interest and thereby give the person an undue advantage. Because once you appoint someone to a position, it may be very, very difficult to replace them because then they learn on the job and they begin to exceed those who may challenge them. You know what happens with African leaders. Right. The recruitment timeline is as stated, and 4 of the tasks out of 12 are carried out. As of today, we are waiting for the close of application, which will be by 19th of December. The board members who are serving on the committee have agreed that this is going to be a no Christmas. We're going to walk through the Christmas and New Year period to make sure we have our interim CEO in place, and also by January, we will be working very hard, doing face-to-face interviews to appoint the substantive, or towards appointing substantive CEO. We recognize the fact that this is a process, we are on it, and the board will try to work as much as possible to follow this process we have defined so that we will not be shifting the goalpost in the middle of the match, and everybody will have the opportunity of competing fairly, and the organization will get the services of a fantastic CEO at the end of the day. Applications are going to be evaluated against an evaluation and criteria and scorecard, which will only be limited to the board committee. We don't want to publish this because then once you publish the rules, people will start looking for the loopholes to pad their applications. So the guideline for evaluation exists, but I regret to inform you that that is going to stay with the secret working group. The board is very open to the community for input, and we will solicit and take the input of the community, staff, and outgoing CEO in consideration by the time we select the new CEO. And if peradventure, because you know when you make plans, according to Murphy, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. If we miss any of these milestones, the board is going to communicate promptly with the community and tell you what mitigating steps we are taking so that that milestone we missed will not have a significant impact on the activities and plans we have made. That's it. Thank you. I'll take questions at the end. So I think we'll take the member services update now, and I'll call Arthur to do justice.
Bonsoir. Good afternoon. My name is Arthur Karandal. I will present the update concerning member service activities. Thank you. So, before going forward, it's important for me to share with you 2 main points. The first one is the objective that has been assigned to my department and secondly, what has been achieved so far. So we have 4 main objectives for this year. The first one is reviewing the membership enrollment procedure that we can use to recruit, to evaluate new membership, as well any requests from current member. The second one is increase IPv4 resource distribution. The third one is increase the member base. And the fourth, improve service delivery tools that we are using to service our member. So the first objective, how we proceed to enroll our new members. In the middle of this year, we recruit 3 new staff, for Hostmaster team, we have 2 IP analysts, Game Showa, Kison Fukira, and 1 member service liaison, Radha Ramfo. So when those staff join our team, we work hard, very hard, on our procedure, so that at the end of this year, member service procedure used to evaluate our members' request has been recommended for ISO certification, which means that the way we are working is according to international standard. And we are really proud for what our team has done so far. The second thing is how members evaluate the way we work with them. We have built an online survey that our new members use to share with us the sentiment, the feeling about the way we service them. And 93% of members surveyed are really satisfied with what we do. The second point is concerning IP distribution. Madhvi is there. She will go deeper, okay? But so far, we have distributed at the end of October more than 9 million of IP addresses. And over the past year, more than 49 million of addresses. You can see here the geographic distribution of IP resources. Most of the IPv4 has been issued to South Africa, which represents 21% of the total IPv4 used within the region. But you have Egypt, South Africa, Morocco, Algeria as well, Nigeria. I'm sorry. Okay, concerning the membership base increase, as at the end of this year, we only achieved 46% of our target, which means that the number of new members required has been low, and we didn't achieve our target due to some reason I would like to share with you. The first one is the low number of membership applications we receive. Over the past 4 months, we receive, in average, 20 new applications, which is very low. The second point is the slow response during the evaluation. When we receive any application, the hostmaster works on the request, but when we go back to the applicant requesting additional information, sometimes it takes a long time, and that can impact, okay, the time dedicated to evaluate the ticket. I would like to recall the community that we are committed to issue IP resources within 15 days for a new member and additional resource 7 working days. The last point is the slow time taken by the applicant to respond and to pay the invoice, as well sign the RSA once they have been approved. So all those reasons, okay, explain why the number of new members is very low this year comparing to the previous year. So far, you have here the geographic distribution of our members. You have the top 10 countries with more members: South Africa, followed by Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt. But the total, so over the 10 here, we have reached 1,129 members. But that numbers will increase if we didn't close members that haven't paid the invoice. So this year, we closed 23 members. But if you compare over the past 3 years, we made any effort to recover membership fees so that we can see we came from 40 and we reached 23. Most of the half, okay, has been paid the invoices. So many efforts have been done, okay, to increase our membership fees recovery. So the last part is what has been done concerning the tools that we are using to deliver services to our members. The first thing is the membership registration portal. This has been built to facilitate the registration of our members. You can go online and you have every step that has been automated to facilitate your application. We like it. So far, we are doing something. We are doing effort to improve it, but you can still use it. We have associate member registration portal as well that has been built to facilitate the registration of associate members. And we have the member satisfaction survey that our members can use to evaluate and to share their comment and input concerning the process we are using to evaluate the request. And the last one is member information management portal. Is very important for us as Afrinic staff because this tool will help us to have in real-time information that can help us to take appropriate decision. And here are a summary of activities that has been carried out by my department. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Arthur. 1 minute saved. Madvi, let's see whether you break the record.
Morning, ladies. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to go through the registration service update for the year. First of all, the department overview will be on the agenda. Then we'll go through the registration service processes, some statistics, and some observations from the registration service department. So we're part of the member services department at Afrinic. We staffed with myself and 2 IP resource analysts, and we're also supported by the member service liaison as we give service to existing Afrinic members as well. The objectives, as Arthur mentioned, we have common objectives, but so I'll skip skip the first three, and I'll talk about we had set as objective improvement on our documentation and the tools that we have, that we make available to our members. Teach and approve in cases where we see our members having difficulties in meeting the policy requirements, having difficulties in managing their IP number resources. INRM training, we also help out the training department in conducting INRM training on the continent at their request. And we have now started giving support on the routing registry, which went live earlier this year. So for the processes, it has been a continuous improvement of our processes. We implemented an internal audit process where, especially as we have a new team in place, where we look at how well we're doing in terms of evaluation of resource requests in compliance with the existing policies. And lastly, we are also recommended for ISO certification in October this year. Some observations from the host masters. We launched the NMRP, the new member registration portal, 6 months ago. So that was in May this year. And 6 months later, as at recently, now I'd say, our observations are that we still have poor IP addressing plans being submitted in the initial request for membership and resources, as well as the lack of supporting documentation to substantiate, to justify the resource request. So the Hostmasters have gone back to the drawing board, and we have worked on the specific module of that portal and improved and written down the specifications on how it can be improved. We have also seen reverse DNS registration issues. Our members still face difficulties in registering their reverse DNS on the WHOIS database. We still have requests from organizations who have obsolete contacts, so we have to walk through them to update their contacts before we can proceed with the actual request, because we can only attend to requests from registered contacts of our members. We also faced issues about non-payment of annual fees. So the RSA does state that we'll give service to members who are in good standing. So if they haven't paid, then there are some delays as well in us attending to that request. And the hostmasters asked me to put the last one, is that we do get pressure from some requesters and some impolite language being used in the interactions, both email and phone. So now we invested. So we already planned for training of our hostmasters in terms of handling such difficult cases. Regarding the resource pool, this year the global policy at IANA level was implemented, and we had 2 iterations of us getting resources from IANA. So these are the 3 blocks of IP addresses that we have received this year. The next iteration will be in March 2015. You'll note that these are not /8s because IANA has already run out of /8s. These are allocations from what IANA has as pool of IP addresses, RIRs or some legacy resource holders returned IP addresses, so those were given back to the IANA. Regarding the IPv4 statistics, we generated some granular statistics this time in terms of the number of prefixes we allocated and assigned. So in blue, the prefixes we allocated, that means the amount of blocks of IP addresses that we issued to our LIR members, so that these are the prefixes that were further assigned to the customers of these LIRs. And in red are the prefixes assigned to our members. So that means these are the blocks that are used on the members' internal network and are not further redistributed. So you'll note, like in terms of the amount of prefixes, It's usually like a 1 to 3 ratio. But when it comes to the number of the count of IPv4 addresses issued, this is the global yearly stats. We have had a record this year. We beat the 2011 figures, and we have issued nearly 11 million of IP addresses, and these are the stats as at yesterday. Globally, we have issued about 60 million of IP addresses since 2005. At June this year, I had mentioned 6.4 million of IP addresses issued, and we have issued a further nearly 5 million of IP addresses in the next 5 months after that. Under evaluation at the moment, we have roughly 3.5 million of IP addresses requests that are still being evaluated. As available, we have 2.98/8 as available in our pool. So now we've gone beyond the free/8s that we spoke about before. And regarding V6, we have issued in total 445 V6 prefixes and 1,141 ASN to our members. We had a new policy that was implemented this year. We had more than one policy, but this particular one, the no reverse unless assigned policy, when it was implemented, we found that 207 LIRs were not compliant, and that was at 22nd of September 2014. And they were facing issues. The others that were registering the reverse DNS, they were not understanding the error message. So despite AFRINEC communicating to our members about this policy implementation, we were receiving a lot of requests from our members asking, why we're getting this error message, how can you help us? So the registration services at AFRINEC, we advise the members and we also coach them to register the assignments before they could proceed with registering the reverse delegation. In terms of inconsistencies, these are not during our interactions with our members, but these are exercises that we continuously work on during the year because it helps us sanitizing the data in the databases as well. So this year, what we've looked at are the resources in the WHOIS database that do not have a maintainer, which is the organization's, the members' maintainer, and we also looked at overlapping assignments because at some point in time, the WHOIS database was allowing for overlaps of IP addresses, and that was a concern because we could not exactly calculate the percentage of IP addresses being used by our members. So we had to coach them, some of them very big members, so we had to coach them to resolve those inconsistencies. As part of 2015 initiatives, we have put down some specifications in regard to how we can enhance the member portal. That's from an RS point of view based on the type of requests that we have received. Are there anything that we could implement in the tool that the member portal that the members already have? So if any of our members out here, you want some features new features that you want to see, then please send us an email, we'll take it up. And as a reminder, we have a member services booth outside. Radha, the member service liaison, usually mans it, but there's also Kisan and myself who are the backups. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madhvi. Dead on target. Patrice. No one has gone beyond the time limit, so let's see how you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm here to present the Finance Department activities update for 2014. I'll start with the departmental structure. We're a small-ish department. We have 5 people plus me, We have an accounting unit of 2 staff. The accounting units are mostly concerned with the financials and actual accounting, transactions and recording. We've got the billing unit, which we've got 2 people, and then we have the travel unit, which is a travel coordinator, which handles all the travel for the staff and all the delegates. During the 2014, we've had a couple of movements in the department. We've had 2 departures, and obviously we've managed to recruit 2 new staff. The replacement, although was fairly short-ish, it has had some small impact on the operations, but we've managed to keep that to a minimum. Like all the other departments, we all were involved with some major activities during the year. So I've split that into 2 halves. The first half of the year. The first, indeed, at the beginning of the year, we all participated in a strategic plan exercise, which led into the formulation of a strat plan for 2015 to 2019. We concluded the billing 2014 exercise. Most importantly, most of our time was spent on a statutory audit, and which ended up with a signed audit report. That took a lot of our time. We also participated in the preparation of the ISO certification, which has been mentioned a couple of times already. And in this case, the preparation was really tidying up all our processes and make sure that we follow what we say we're going to do. We also involved in the billing queue cleanup because we do receive a lot of mail, and over time it tends to accumulate. And one of the exercise that we had this year was participate in the RFP for the external auditors. As you may all know, we have actually changed our auditors for the first time since the initial startup. And there was an RFP that was sent out, I think, with the new auditors appointed during the AGM in Djibouti. And again, we also participated and prepped for the AIS meeting in Djibouti. The second half of the year, again, we carried on and finalized all the ISO certification prep. And with the new external auditors coming in the picture, they started an interim audit, which was slightly lengthy because they had to get a feel of the system and a bit of a feel of our environment, which is slightly different from what they are accustomed to. We also, one of the big items this year was the change in functional currency. I think if everybody was in Djibouti, that was mentioned, that Afronic was going to change the functional currency from the Mauritian rupees to US dollars. This, of course, involved changing of the system, database, and everything that goes with it. We've also on the activity plan for 2014, we had a request to set up a fixed asset register. That's also well underway. We should be able to complete all that by the end of the year. And towards the end of the second half, we started working on the budget for 2015, which included the formulation of the activity plan and also putting together all the departmental requests for 2015. We also prepared ourselves for the billing 2015, and we also involved in the travel management system. We're developing a new travel management system which will help us better manage our travel activity, which is one of the big sections in the organization. And one of the ways of trying to keep the cost down is to have a properly workable travel management system. We also implemented the recommendation by the external audit and the audit committee during the year, which of course followed from the external audit exercise earlier during the year. Some of the challenges that we keep on facing was the continuous chasing of unpaid fees, which is part of a day-to-day activity. I must admit that there has been a big improvement in that. And we also had to deal with the departure of staff and obviously the associated disruption created by the departing staff, and also adaptation of new recruits. The change in functional currencies, which we thought initially was going to be a walk in the park, didn't quite end up being that way. involve a lot more than we thought, but we managed to deal with that. And we had to handle the newly appointed external auditors, walk through the system with them so that they are a little bit more accustomed with what we do and everything else. And I think Archer mentioned earlier on about the new membership, which has been a challenge this year, and that was also part of the challenges we've had. Now, what we've accomplished in the milestone for the year, we successfully completed the 2013 annual financial statements, which ended up with a signing and approving of the financials by the board and the community. There's been an improvement a marked improvement in debt collection rate compared to previous years. And I'll talk a little bit more about that just now. And we also managed to we should be completing a complete change in foreign currency by the end of the year. At the same time, we have also implemented the integrated fixed asset register in the Pastel module. At the same time, we've managed to reduce the turnaround time on the billing queues. We've been recommended for the ISO 9001. I think that's been mentioned a couple of times. I think it just goes to show everyone is quite proud of that. Implementation of a revised format of our 2015 budget. That's really presenting the budget in the form of a activity project-based budget. And at the same time, we are ensuring that all the audit recommendations are implemented by the end of the year. Now, I mentioned earlier on about improvement in the collection fees. There has been a marked improvement this year compared to previous years in the rate of collection. And if you look at this little table, it will show you what we achieved in 2012, 2013, and 2014. There has been a really big turnaround in terms of fee collection. We actually put this down to the implementation of the late penalty fees, which tends to be resisted by late payers, but that has worked fairly well, and I think we're having a much, much better response in terms of payment this year, and we expect this to move forward in the right direction going forward. And this also, I think, there's been a team effort and also improvement in our processes. And also there's been an improvement in the communication to members in terms of reminders and regular contact with members. And at the same time, we've actually stuck with what the policy says. If members don't pay, they get closed. This seems to have contributed to the improved collection rate for the year. And I think we're seeing a new trend here, which we would like to keep going forward. I also mentioned that we had undertaken to change the functional currencies from Mauritian rupees to the US dollars, and this actually involved quite a few steps before we could get it all done. We needed to get approval from the registrar. There's a need to create new database with the home currency as US dollars. We had to transfer all the data from the old database to the new one. And we had to import all opening balances into imported transactions and reconciling bank accounts and create billing into this is the high-level numbers for where we see ourselves by the end of the year. I think there has been mentioned earlier on about the drop in new membership. This has impacted on our revenue income, but all the same, we have also had experienced a drop in the operating cost as well. Thank you.
I think there's some conspiracy here. People are ending on the dot of the minute. All right, good job, guys. All right, thank you, Patrice. Next is Christian.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to walk you very quickly through the main activities that we've set up this year and that are still ongoing. those we've completed this year as well. So I'll go briefly over these. But before, I would like to thank my colleagues in the HR and Administration Department, Yavish, Salvina, and Emma, who've done a very good job this year. So our HR team objectives are to optimize services Afrinic offers to our members by improving performance of our staff members. Let's have a look, first of all, at the existing organizational structure. You will recall that last year, the operations consisted of 3 subdivisions. This year, we've added 2 new divisions to better serve the community. One of these is the Research and Innovation Department, which is headed by Alain Aina. And the second one is the Capacity Building and Community Development, which falls under Mukom Tamon. Now, briefly, the evolution of the staff, you will notice that in 2011, 2012, we set up a new structure. So we had to recruit lots of people to adapt to the new structure. And in 2013, we've reached a plateau, and you will see it has plateaued in 2014. It is a bit slightly low. The number of employees is slightly lower today as it was in 2013, but we've got 4 new employees for whom we've applied for an occupation permit. So by the end of December, we will be slightly higher than in December 2013. These are the employees we've recruited during the year. You will see that most of them are straight replacements. An IP number analyst, member services liaison, head of communications and public relations, Gael, who will intervene just after me, James Chiawa, who is an IP number analyst, an office administration manager, an accounting assistant, and a new travel coordinator. Most of these are straight replacements. Now, I'll just give you 2 slides. The first one are the projects we've completed this year. We had 2 very huge projects on which we laid stress this year. The first one is the ISO certification. We've documented 84 processes this year, and we've been audited on 45. We've completed the external audit recently, and we've been recommended for certification. We were expecting to get the final ISO certificate to show to you, but it's coming in a few weeks. So I would like to thank all the heads of departments and executive team, ADL, and the my other colleagues, because they've been doing a tremendous job during the year to make us obtain our ISO certification. Now, the second big project we had was the performance management system we've been setting here. We've tried to adopt the best practice, that is, starting at the top by defining the objectives of the company based on the balance scorecard, on the Kaplan and Norton's balance scorecard. Then we've cascaded these objectives to the departmental level, and then the department has split the job among the individuals. Now, the PMS is divided, at individual level, is divided into 2 parts. The first part contains the measurable objectives, which we measure by assigning key RAs, key results areas, and key performance indicators to each staff based on the balance scorecard. And the second part, this is the part we can't measure. So this part are the behavioral skills. And what we've done this year, so that it may not be so subjective, we've done it last year as well, is we've done a 360-degree feedback exercise. That is, everybody at Afrinic has been assessing everybody else on 14 or 15 criteria, behavioral skills. So this part we've completed this year, and we've compared our results to those of last year. There are not big differences, but our weak points still remain the same, that is soft skills. So this is why our training program next year will be mainly on soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, etc. Now, last, I will go through the projects that are still ongoing. The performance management system, so I was explaining to you how it was split into two parts. The behavioral skills, we have catered for it. The measurable part of it, we've set up objectives, KPIs for everybody. So it's going to, we are assessing the people based on these two criteria this year, and next year we are going to fine-tune this part. We are laying emphasis on staff engagement as well. We will measure this year the staff engagement and set up a program to see how we are going to evolve. We are putting a continuous effort to keep the best working environment to our staff, because this is very important. If somebody wants to come to work, he'll give his maximum. If somebody is not happy in his work environment, obviously the performance will suffer. So this is why we lay a lot of emphasis on the environment, the working environment. Now, the fourth project is the salary increase exercise. You know, when we started some years ago, the salary increase exercise was based on years of service only. Now, little by little, we are shifting to performance, and this year, 60% of the increase will be based on performance and 40% on years of service. And we are going, little by little, to push it further. So we are going to assess the performance, and the salary increase will be more and more linked to the performance of the individuals. Now, what we intend to do this year as well is to identify the indices of productivity at Afrinic. We've identified some, but we need to put a list of indices of productivity so that we can measure and see the evolution of our productivity. The sixth project is talent management. You know, talent management is measured on two axes. One is the performance, which we are doing, and the second one is potential. And when you finish, you draw a grid, performance again against potential. And those who fall on the top of the list, potential and performance, are those who are really considered as talented people. Right? So we cannot manage what we can't measure. This is why we want to measure potential before setting up our talent management system. And the last project on which we are still working is the culture change at Afrinic. We're trying to develop a culture where we become interdependent. We work together as a team. So we've adopted the 7 habits of highly effective people last year. All people have been trained. And this year, we are, Yogesh is here. Yogesh has been heading this project. And this year, what we are doing is taking our leaders to a higher level. We will make them follow a course which is called, linked to the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is called Great Leaders, Great Teams, Great Results. This is going to take place in January next. So these are, in a nutshell, the main activities that we've organized during the year and that are still ongoing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christian. I think I can begin to boast that Afrinic is very precise. Everybody is doing 9 minutes, 30 seconds. So, Gail, let's see how you do on this. I know the result, I'm just asking, okay?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gael Fall, and for those of you that haven't met me or haven't seen me at an Afrinic meeting. I am the head of communications and PR as of July of this year, 2014. I will be giving you the communications update, but for the past 6 months. So, did I turn it off? Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is the structure of the department. The Communications and PR department houses the marketing and PR with marketing and PR manager Vimala Turon. The events coordination, Julie Auverdin, who is our events coordinator. The technical writing and editing, who is Achille Ugara. And the Corporation and Development Project, which is mostly FIRE, that is managed by Patricia Senghor. The objectives that were set for the communications department were to have an outreach program to outreach to potential members. Of course, optimize the event participation and coordination, enhance our communication tools, and also optimize on our partnerships and our project initiatives. As all of my previous colleagues mentioned, we have been recommended for ISO certification, and in the communications department, we had 4 processes that were recommended for certification, which were content management, event coordination, branding management, and our quality objectives for the communications department. Sorry. Okay, so just real quickly, we'll give you a few updates on our marketing and PR, our different Afrinic events, our FIRE program, the Afrinic publications, and of course our regional and global participation, along with the Afrinic Government Working Group and Afrinic 10 Years, a celebration. For marketing and PR, apart from, of course, all the communications and the PR that we do in general for all of Afrinic's projects, such as the Internet Routing Registry, the WHOIS, the new member portal, the associate member portal, any and all of the communications are actually coordinated and channeled through the communications department. But more specifically, we do a lot of PR during our trainings, and the ones that we covered this year were in Djibouti, Nigeria, Chad, South Africa, Senegal, Tanzania, Swaziland, and also Cameroon coming up next week after Afrinic 21. We also participated at iWeek this coming September, where 250 potential members were identified pre-hand, and we were able to meet with about 50 potential members that we are hoping and looking to turn into actual Afrinic members with, of course, the coordination of the member services and registration services. The different Afrinic events, of course, we have 2 events per year, one that we do in coordination and in collaboration with the AF Stars, AFNOG, AFTLD, the AFREND, ISOC, and the ICANN African Bureau. Along with that, we also have our standalone meetings, such as Afrinic 21. Our next AIS meeting is going to take place in Tunisia, and Afrinic 23, our meeting for November 2015, the call for hosting has been launched, and we're hoping to have the results by the time we should be publicizing the location by AIS 15. If you want to go to any of our previous meeting websites, you can find them at this link. Regarding our FIRE program, the FIRE program is our Fund for Internet Research and Education program, which is our grants and award program that is designed to encourage and support the development of solutions to information and communication needs in the African region. And the FIRE program is also part of the Seed Alliance, which is also a sister program to FRIDA, the similar program that exists in LACNIC, and also ISIF Asia, the similar program that exists at APNIC. And since June, we had a round of awards, and the awards actually give a prize to already implemented projects, innovative projects, and they receive a $3,000 prize and a $4,000 travel grant to allow them to attend the Internet Governance Forum. And usually during the Internet Governance Forum, there is a award ceremony where the other two regions are also bringing in their award recipients, and they all get to mingle and network with each other, and also get to network with the community while also being recognized at an international platform. And this year we had 20 submissions from 12 different economies, and our winners were, we had Affaires Mobile Benin from Benin. We had Open Education Resources from Kenya. We had M. Jangale from Senegal, and Luo from Côte d'Ivoire. And the three different branches through which we choose these awards, or through which these awards are chosen, were innovation on access provision, e-development, and freedom of expression. This year, we did not have a project on freedom of expression. However, there was a project that was, there was something that we started this year, which was the Community Choice Award, where it was the community that had the chance and the opportunity to choose their preferred project, and that project was Luor. For the Afrinic publications, we are getting ready to publish our AfriNews second issue, and also our Number Crunch 1.0, which is actually the numbers resource statistic report on IP and AS numbers usage in Africa, which is due to be published in December. So look out for it. As far as our regional participation, which also falls under the communications department because we take care of external affairs as well, Afrinic participated at the African IGF, which took place in Abuja, and our chair, Sunday Folayan, had the opportunity to represent Afrinic. We also participated at the Southern African IGF as well in Lilongwe, Malawi. And we were represented by Paulos Nyerenda, as well as Afrinic board member. We participated in AFPIF in Dakar, Senegal, and Alain Aina did a presentation there in the name of Afrinic. And unfortunately, although we contributed to the West African IGF as a sponsorship, it did not happen. It didn't take place due to the Ebola epidemic. Also, our global participation, Afrinic is part of the NRO, the Numbers Resource Organization, which actually regroups all 5 RIRs. And this year, Afrinic was the chair of the organization, and the chairmanship usually shifts from one RIR to the next. Being the chair of the NRO for this year, all the other coordination groups that exist are also being chaired by Afrinic. Therefore, with the communications department, we chaired the Public Affairs Coordination Group and the Communications Coordination Group. And as the NRO, and participating as one of the members of the NRO. We had a strong presence at ICANN 50 in London and at IGF in Istanbul. A lot of the messaging that we coordinated really revolved around the IANA oversight transition. This was the biggest of our messaging. But we also have a publication that we bring out every year, which is the IPv6 Around the World and the Continuing Cooperation brochure. And you can find all of these on the NRO website at nro.net. As the PAC-G, we helped to coordinate the RIR Accountability and Governance Matrix, which can also be found on the nro.net website. And we also participated as observers and Sector D members at the ITU Plenipotentiary in Busan, South Korea. We also coordinate the Afrinic Government Working Group, which was an initiative that was launched by Afrinic to be able to facilitate the collaboration between governments and our community. And we had our 10th meeting yesterday, actually, and we had a very, very good turnout. It facilitated the conversation between governments, regulators, and our technical community. And some of the agenda points that were discussed were the IANA oversight transition. Actually, that was the only point we got to discuss in the 2 hours that we met. But we also had an IPv6 for decision makers session, which really brought about some interest in getting some IPv6 training tailor-made for our governments and regulators. Last but not least, Afrinic will be celebrating, or Afrinic is celebrating its 10 years anniversary. We are starting the celebration roughly just giving you a little bit of teasers with our theme this year, but the major of the celebrations will happen throughout the 2015 because Afrinic was recognized as a regional internet registry in April 2005. So we launched a 10 years logo competition. This is not to change the Afrinic logo, but this is to have a 10 years logo that we can have and use as branding throughout the 2015 year. And we were able to have over 20 submissions. And what we'll do is we are going to ask for volunteers in the community to help us to choose a winner that will be announced late this year or early next year, January. We're planning on doing some activities around the 10 years anniversary, mostly to be done in Tunisia during the Africa Internet Summit. And hopefully we'll be closing out these celebrations at Afrinic 23 in November. We are looking to do a 10 years publication, of course, if resources allows, documenting the 10 years history of Afrinic from its inception to today. Now, if you're not subscribed to any of our mailing lists, we invite you to subscribe to our mailing list. This is the best way that you can remain informed of all of Afrinic's events, activities, projects, anything. We usually publicize them on these different mailing lists. So for more information or to actually see the whole, all of our mailing lists, you can just go to list.afrinic.net. And along with everything else, we also do social media, which you will see here. That's why I didn't add a slide regarding social media. But we invite you to follow us on Twitter, to like us on Facebook, and to check out our pictures, anything and everything on Flickr. We also have a YouTube channel, so I invite you to also check out our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gail. I'll try to recover the time, but well done, well done. All right, so Neria, let's see how many minutes you will give me.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let me first take you through our 2014 objectives. Our end goal in 2014 was to put in place the various pieces of the puzzle so as to ensure a strengthening of our team, of our infrastructure, improve our change management process, and also ensure that we have a sound business continuity plan. You may recall in 2013 we started by engaging a lot of efforts in the revamp of our data centers, our infrastructure. We adopted the strategy of having a distributed service across many data centers that will be virtualized. Mauritius is now completely virtualized. Johannesburg, we put all the pieces together, configured, installed, and we're busy completing the migration of all our services from the old to the new infrastructure. In Cape Town, for the time being, we still host one of our training pods. Up until now, our recovery plan was solely based on backups. Our strategy was to make sure that we reduce our recovery time objective while increasing our recovery point objective. And we intended to do so by a site-to-site replication at a storage level. We are also very busy with the community lab that we promised and expect to have it completed during the first quarter of 2015. Some of the projects infrastructure has been very busy on, the mail and mailing list review. We've completed all the work related to that in Mauritius and are tackling now Johannesburg. Regarding our DNS initiatives, as you may know, Afrinic runs two major DNS programs. The first one being the root server copy, by which we facilitate the deployment of either a K, L, or F route, while the second DNS initiative is the African DNS Support Program, by which we provide a secondary DNS service to CCTLDs across the continent. We currently have 26 zones that are part of the program. So if you're interested in any of these two programs, I invite you to go on one of these links and either respond to the form on the webpage or send us an email at dnsmaster@afrinic.net. On the application side, we were busy with the new member registration portal. As was said by Arthur, version 1 was delivered. And based on all the comments that we received from the community, we are busy making some adjustments and expect to release a second version pretty soon. We are also completing work related to the secure document management system, so as to ensure confidentiality of members' documents and ensure that they are stored securely. As of the WHOIS, you all know that we deployed a new WHOIS service a few months ago, I believe 3 months ago, as well as Afrinic Routing Registry. So to tell you a little more about the HOI service, some of the challenges that we've been experienced on the old HOIs. As you know, we've had that HOI since Afrinic's inception, and we were having a lot of difficulties maintaining it, mainly because of the lack of proper documentation that was available, the fact that it was written in C, and we didn't have much resources to maintain it, and also a few functional bugs that were creating a lot of inconsistencies in the database. And last but not least, the old HOIs was not IPv6 compliant. So we proceeded with a new HOIs, which is Java-based and which offered a lot of advantages. Among which we can now have a granular ACL that can be applied. And we also were able to implement RFC 4880 appropriately, which concerns ASCII armored PGP key. So last but not least, our routing registry. It is now fully functional. And I would like to publicly thank Mark Tinka from CCOM and Joseph Tonnier from Camtel, who were very much collaborative, helping us in the test and being the first two organizations that actually populated Afrinic routing registries with their objects. Our registry is now fully mirrored by RAP-NCC, RADB, EPNIC, and NTT Communication. And what we've been doing to help our members do the transition between RIPE and Afrinic registry is to organize a boot camp during which we make sure we import all their objects from RAP-NCC registry, help them do sanitization if needs be, and commit those objects into Afrinic registry. So if you wish to participate in one of the boot camp, you are more than welcome to. You just send us an email at irr@afrinic.net. We also have a BUF, which is going to be at 5:30 this evening, to help members understand more about the routing registry and know how to proceed further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Neria. That was just 7 minutes. Fantastic. So, members, we have about 12 minutes for questions and discussions. 12 minutes. First line, first talk. So the line is growing. So can we use just the microphone at the back so that I can have one line? And when I say no more join, no more join. But we will take everybody on the line. Okay.
Thank you, Sunday. My name is Alain Aina from Afrinic. So mine is not going to be a question, but I just want to check something. So Afrinic got the recognition as the 5th RIR in April 2005 while we were in Mozambique. So I want to check in the room how many here in the room were in Mozambique at that time. So if you are, then raise your hand. Okay, thank you.
Before you leave, Alain, I don't want you to confuse us with statistics, so I will interpret. My interpretation is that Afrinic has grown from 4, because I am counting you. Oh, sorry, 6. I am counting you, Adiel and APB, to all of us in this room. A round of applause. You see, statisticians have a way of confusing you. They show you data and don't tell you the meaning. So I conclude that we have a 4,000% growth. Another round of applause.
My name's Douglas Onyango. My question is for the chair. During your presentation, you spoke about the intention of the board to appoint the outgoing CEO to our current board. My question is, I'm trying to understand on what premise you're trying to do this. My understanding of the constitution of the board and how appointments are made to the board, if you refer to section 13.4 of the constitution, it actually spells how many people are supposed to be on the board and how those members are elected to the board. I'm just trying to understand on what premise are we going to make the board appointment for the outgoing CEO?
Thank you. On the premise that if you read that same clause further, it says the board shall have the power to appoint those it considers will help facilitate, not in the exact words, its business as it deems fit. Whatever we do is not in a voting capacity, neither in a regional capacity, but just in a way to facilitate the work of the board. We do not want to appoint a staff who would be something that would scare the incoming chief executive. So we wanted to make sure we put in a system that would grow and will not self-destruct. Again, if the community feels that this is absolutely not something that should be done, we will be glad to take feedback. But our intention is clear. We want to assure institutional memory. And of course, if Adiel is willing to serve the community in that capacity, I think the community should be very, very excited and not be worried. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alan Barrett. I was going to ask exactly the same question that Douglas just asked. I think you've given a good answer, but I have a question about terminology. Perhaps it's not right to call it a non-voting board member. Perhaps we should give it some other name. But I'm very keen to see Adil continuing to advise the board if he is willing to do that.
Thank you, Alan. Point taken. We will find a very sweet description that will serve our purpose.
Thank you. And if you'll allow me to ask another question, or should I join the back of the line?
Because you are so honest, please go ahead and ask.
Thank you. My question's about the financial health of Afrinic. At the previous meeting in Djibouti, it seemed that in the previous year, in 2013, there was a deficit, at least there should have been a deficit, but somehow by currency conversions, it ended up being a small surplus. I'd like to know how that has changed. What are the current levels of Afrinic's reserves, and how has it changed since 6 months ago? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please don't count this as a joke. It's not a joke. I'm very serious about it. But I think it will give me a very big pleasure this afternoon to invite to answer that question on behalf of the board. A round of applause for Mr. Andrew Alston. You won't know what pleasure I have to do this.
Hi, Alan. I know Sunday's looking very smug at the moment. Look, by all indications of the information that we've had coming back so far, we are looking like we are running in a surplus position. With regards to the current reserves at the moment, I have been in discussion with various board members and about requesting the actual the actual numbers out of the statements, and I think that is something we'll continue to explore. But an official request has not gone from myself to the board for that yet, or the audit committee. But I think at the moment, if I'm looking at the numbers we've been presented so far, we are looking at running in a surplus position.
Thank you, Andrew. I still take pleasure in doing that, because if you give too much trouble with the floor, we'll bring you to the board to come and solve the problem. A round of applause for Andrew, and thank you.
Okay.
Yes, next question.
Thank you. My name is Grégoire Eoumi from Benin. My first question is about Afrinic head office. In the last meeting in Côte d'Ivoire, we heard that Afrinic, we plan to move the head office. So I want to have an update about this.
Matter of correction, the statement was not that Afrinic will plan. The statement is that Afrinic will review its location and if need be.
So what is the update?
Review in progress. Data collection being done.
Okay.
Thank you. You've answered one question. Please join the back.
Yes, I have to.
No, join the back of the queue. We need to be efficient.
Sorry,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, you did not mention from the beginning that it's going to be one question. You didn't set the rules.
That's not fair. I thought I did.
No,
but
you
if
didn't.
you are again challenging me, the community is absolutely in charge of running the community. So if you say you should come back to the front and you lose your turn, I am okay. It's your decision, sir. You are keeping him at the back. All right, go on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of my comments about the boards has been raised by Alan and Douglas. My other comment to the board is in relation to board minutes. I think one of the reasons why we are having issues with our concerns about whether board is actually doing anything is because we don't actually see what they are doing. So I'm actually going to ask that board start to consider publishing its minutes. If it is somewhere, I apologize that perhaps I don't know where it is. Perhaps you could direct me to where it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your board is very sensitive to the feelings of the community, and we are working to do things in such a way that we do not create a tsunami that will consume us. So the board has resolved that all its resolutions will be published online beginning from this year. But I regret to tell you that for now, due to house cleaning steps in progress, I see Adiel raising a point of order. All right, Adiel, maybe I don't.
The resolutions are all published on the website in the board session.
Okay, thank you very much for that correction, Adiel. So the decision has been taken, it's been acted upon, and please clap for Adiel. He acts upon board resolutions as soon as they are taken. Maybe we also need the PR department to do some work for the board. I think the community needs to know how hard the board is working. Maybe we are not singing the praise of the board sufficiently. So Gail, please look into doing some PR for the board. Okay. May I also appeal, let there be questions for the staff too. The board is feeling very uncomfortable answering all the questions.
Oui.
Yeah, next question.
Merci, Chair. Je continue en français.
I'm going to go on in French.
Okay.
Hasbi Rahman du Gabon.
I'm from Gabon. I've got obviously many questions. I'm going to have my turn, like everybody. My first question concerns the recruiting of the new CEO. You have seen, I think, all the discussions which are on the list. There's a comment. Is that the publication of that recruitment of the PDF which had been published for me, for Gabon? Gabon was redistributed, communicated 2 days ago. So it's and closing of the closing date is for the 19th of December. I would like to mention here what I mentioned on the list. I think the timing is for the closing is a little bit just. It's too tight for the simple reason that you also mentioned that clearly that we need to. We don't have to create a tsunami. We have to take a time to do things well, correctly. We take time to elaborate our policies. We take time to elaborate our rules. So therefore, we should take time to try to recruit the good, the suitable CEO. So I believe really that. To change that date of the 19th, especially as in the timeline, when I look at that, you have planned on CEO interim CEO. Let's put the CEO interim CEOs and give time for the candidates of different countries to put in the candidate.
Can you please come back to the microphone, the front? I like fire on the mountain. There should be run. So how much time should we give? Please be very specific. It's not enough to say time is not enough, but what is enough?
I think a minimum of 3 months to collect.
I think a minimum of 3 months would be, in my point of view, enough. A minimum of 3 months, yeah.
The board will see
that
is an opinion.
Will see if that is an opinion. We'll cross-check with other opinions.
Merci. Je vais continuer aussi en français.
I'm going to continue in French. I also agree with what he just said. I give support to that. I think we have to push that date. 3 months indeed should be right one. My question.
Okay, you have to now go to the back of the queue. In accordance with the rules, thank you.
Is it a comment? I think that
all right, I will take it now, but please be careful. So we have fair time. You stay now. No, stay, please, but take note for the next time.
Okay, donc je vais continuer en français.
I'll continue in French. I was saying that concerning communication, that we need also, apart from the mailing list, we should also send mails to the members. We take a lot of decisions from the members. Who is the member? Who are these only the ones who come to the meetings? There are ASP who continues to work on the basis of appeal. So there are decisions. The decisions, when they are taken, we have to publish them, be it written on paper and sent officially to all the members. Thank you.
I am sorry, I am confused. What do you mean members, and what information are you talking about? Please be very specific.
Okay. Members is Afrinic members.
The Afrinic members.
Every member is on the member announced list, and that's
yes,
where we...
Is that enough? Some ISP still working by paper. So it is necessary for government or for some ISP to put a legal paper.
Please, every time we take decisions, let us be conscious of those decisions. We took decision that we should only send electronic invoices. And we have been sending electronic invoices, and members have been paying their dues, which they receive electronically. And you want to convince me we should still send them paper? I just want to be sure we're on the same page.
The format of electronic invoices is good, so we can send a legal a communication like electronic invoice, so the member can print and show the board, not notify that all member is not the head of the CEO of the
Okay, may I request that specific members that have this challenge, let them initiate a specific communication with Afrinic so that we're really dealing with an issue and not just an opinion. I want to be very clear, and I'm willing from the perspective of the board to ensure that that is done. But we must be dealing with an issue, not an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to repeat what I have said. I am not asking for resolutions. I'm not asking for board resolution. To be specific, section 19, subsection 10 of the bylaw requires that minutes be produced. And I think those minutes should be published. I understand that it needs to be approved, maybe like 1 month, that it needs to be approved at the next meeting of the board. However, I think it should be published. My other...
Sheung, I have answered, but let me also repeat the answer. In as much as we recognize that there are so many issues that for now should, so that this organization can run efficiently, stay at the level of staff. Sometimes this issue comes to the level of the board. I will hesitate to publish all those minutes with issues that may be very, very sensitive for the efficient running of Afrinic on a general available list on the internet in the name of transparency. Let us clean our house. When our house is very, very clean, we can allow guests go into our bathroom. I hope you will respect that position. I am making that here with a very high sense of responsibility. When we are clean enough, that will be done. It's recognized. I take it, and I assure you as your chair that it will be done. Okay?
Okay, let's not waste the 12 minutes that we have.
Thank you, Sean.
You agree that I have not actually made my question, right? I can say my question now, because that was the first one.
The minutes are going, so go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. My other question is to HR. So when you say that staff will be paid in performance will be 60%, and the year of experience or something will be 40%. I don't understand what you mean by practically what you mean by that, because are you basically saying that, okay, you employed to do so job, so if you are doing your job well, that job that you are paid for, because you are doing it well, you'll be paid more? Or you're saying that if staff A is doing what staff B is supposed to be doing, you're going to remove from the salary of staff B, and give it to staff A. Because it's very clear, your job description is clear. We don't need to compensate you for doing a good job, because that's what we expect. Even if it's going to be compensated, I don't see why it should be so high.
Can you limit the question, Sheung? Let him answer so we don't waste too much time, please. He understands you.
Mr. Chair, please take notes. This timing is not good. It's too short for us. We only have 6 months to have something like this. It's too short for us. Please take notes.
Please, before you leave the mic, I had to take 15 minutes away from the next session by pleading, because I recognize the fact that we should do this. There has to be a balance between giving information, taking feedback, and questions. Christian already understands the question. He is an HR professional. He will address it so that, we save quite a lot of this. Christian, please.
The salary increase, let's say we put a cap of 5% increase to the whole staff. What we do usually is we start with the 5%. Out of the 5%, we split it into two. 40% will be on the years of service. We've got a scale for that. And the remaining 60% will be on the performance of the individual. As I mentioned during my presentation, the performance is based at 70% on the measurable objectives that have been assigned to the employee at the beginning of the year. The remaining 30% will be based on the behavioral skills. So when you add these two together, these will represent at maximum 60%. And when you add this to the other part, that is the 40% based on years of service, which is defined according to a specific scale, then you've got the percentage of increase that the individual will get. We don't take from one pocket to put into the other pocket. We just put 5%, let's say. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be anything. And we start with the 5% as a cap, which is the maximum. So the guy who will have more than X years of service, he will get his 40% on this one. And the guy who's performed well, he will get his 100% on the other part. So excellent performance and added to years of service will give you maximum 100%. That's all. You can't exceed 100% anyway. Most people will get less than 100%, mainly based on performance. Okay? Have I replied?
Is it clear?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Avant de poser ma deuxième question,
before asking my second question, maybe a little contribution concerning the reaction of our friend before. Maybe it's going to be an object of a policy, I don't know. It would be great seeing that the reports, that the presentations which are being done concerning the services of Afrinic for the members, service for the members, sometimes take time within a certain timing, or we don't have enough time. It would be great that this presentation or this summary of reports be sent to us at the beginning of the sessions, or maybe 1 or 2 days before, so that we have time to be able to analyze them and to prepare our questions, because that's the only time we have to make face-to-face discussions with the people whom we have given a mandate to work within Afrinic. Now is the time for my question. It is more for the CEO. The CEO who's going to leave us. I am preoccupied. I would really like to know. I don't know if there are anybody else in this room who have the same opinion. I would like, nevertheless, to know why our CEO is resigning. I didn't expect that. I suppose that, according to me, he was doing the job. So it would be great to be able to know, if possible, why our CEO has resigned instead of saying, instead of just saying that he resigned.
Thank you very much. I understand your question, but you must also know that the CEO is the person who is in the best position to answer that question. And I am sure you also understand that sometimes some things can be personal, and the individual may not want to discuss personal things. And second, let's even assume you work in a place and you want to leave because you are not pleased. Are you going to say you are not pleased, that is why you are leaving, and pull the house down? Some things require discretion. And I think as matured Africans, we should understand that, expect that, and act on that the way I have said it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Je pense que vous venez de le dire, c'est pour des
I believe, I understand if that's for personal reasons. I just received the information. Maybe I missed something on the website, but I got information that the CEO was resigning. I really understand that the CEO can resign for personal reasons, but it just should have been clearly mentioned. I'm sorry if I missed that information, but I didn't have it. So that it was for personal reason.
I understand, but I'm also saying if the board fired the CEO, the board will not say we just fired our CEO. So, I mean, it's whatever is the reason.
Talking about fire.
I guess I understand you, and you now understand me too. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ken Yip Tong. I was a board member for 4 years from 2000 and 2004. I have a question coming back to Alan Barrett regarding the reserve. I recall very precisely one of the objectives of the Afrinic board was to try and reach a reserve of 2 years of Afrinic's operations. I was just going through the financial report ending 31st December 2013, and I was a bit concerned to see that the reserve level is only about 4 months. So is there a new policy on reserve, or if I could get some clarification, how come after 10 years the reserve of Afrinic is only 4 months? Thank you.
Is Adele in the hall? Yes, Adele, I would like you to answer that question. If you don't mind, please. And then I will make some comments after Adele answers.
The issue of target on reserve level has been discussed thoroughly in the board. When the board took that resolution, Afrinic budget was 1 million. So our reserve is 1 million. Now, that means the target is a moving target that you have to continue working on. So as a moving target, we are trying to follow the target, but it's not moving at the same rate as our surplus because we are growing. And we are reinvesting a lot of our income into growing the organization. When you're an organization that reinvests your own money in your growth, at some point, you use your surplus to finance your growth. So that's what is happening at Afrinic. So that resolution is valid, was valid 4 years or 5 years ago. It's not valid today as such, but the objective is still there where we are working to achieve that. How long it will take us is another story.
Thank you very much, Adele. I purposely asked him to come and give that answer so that you all understand the fact that there's an objective. We're working towards it. The board did not fire Adele. The board appreciates Adele's contribution, and that is where the board is even looking at a way to bring him back to the board as a non-voting member. I think I was very clear about that in my presentation. A round of applause for Adele, please. Next.
Merci.
And this will be the last, please. We really have eaten into the time for the... All right, I'll take one more after you, just not to sound dictatorial, but that will be the last, please. I really need to bring this to an end. When we have open microphone, we can use it all again. Thank you.
Okay. Merci.
Thank you. My question is for Martine. Before in the presentation, she presented the statistics concerning the resources used. So I would like the resource SCA doesn't mean that it is really used. Do we have the statistics of the resources used instead of those assigned or allocated? Because allocated doesn't mean really used.
As registration services, we issue the IP addresses based on justified needs from the members. It's only if you're speaking about assigned PIs, so IP addresses assigned to organizations by Afrinic. Unless they come back for additional assignments, we usually, that's the only time when we'll check if they are really using the initial assignment or not. The same applies for LIR members as well.
Okay, last question. Thank you, Madhvi.
J'ai juste une petite dernière question.
A last small question. I would like to congratulate the Afrinic staff for having been certified for being named for ISO 9000. And I have also a question which has come back on the list for the last 2 days. I mean, I would like to know if the fact that they have been nominated for, will they impose certain management rules concerning international standards. I'm talking about CEO recruitment also. There was a proposal to work with a recruitment cabinet or an external resource for certain quality in brackets. It's not that eternally we're not able to do so, but the fact that we are going towards ISO 9001 doesn't impose or is not going to recommend us to have a certain the things to be done in an international standard. Thank you.
La certification
ISO certification imposes a certain discipline to document so many processes. It took a lot of time, and therefore the objective to standardize them to ensure that any employee may follow all the processes without any difficulty, because it's rigid, it's to the point. Of course, if we have processes which have to satisfy international norms, we don't have any choice than to follow them. It's important because it's we who have imposed ourselves to get this certification so that things be done correctly. Thank you. I would like to add an important point. The certification ISO is not the origin of the methodology of work of Afrinic. We already have our procedures which exist all those years, which enabled us to be able to allocate resources to our members. We just have formatted them in the ISO model so as to be able to respond to international standards. We are not ISO just to ISO label. It's only to be able to standardize our procedures to international standards, which for procedures we already have for years, and so that each employee of Afrinic can work on his working procedure. I just wanted to add this element that our procedures existed already based on policies adopted by the community, which had been formatted under the ISO model so as to be able to answer to international standards. I would add this. It seems to me that Afrinic is a third IR which is going to obtain ISO certification. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for all the questions. I would like to request that you please put your hands together for this wonderful staff for their presentations. I would like to make a closing comment by saying that if you attended this meeting 2-3 years ago, even last year, when a question is thrown to the staff, Adil may once or twice or thrice come to the microphone to add more clarifications to the issue. But today, they've stood their grounds. They have answered all questions. There is no clarification from Adiel, and this wonderful team is a legacy for Adiel. A round of applause for them. And on that note, Adiel, you want to clarify what I said? Okay.
Sunday, you can't get away like that. Yes, I just want not to clarify, but to reinforce what you just said. On purpose, I didn't sit on the table for this update, and that was on purpose. Nobody prevent me to do that. It is just to reaffirm to the board that we have a team on the ground that is doing the work. It is not Adiel. Afrinic is beyond Adiel alone. There are people there doing the work. And these guys need to be supported for them to achieve what they have to achieve. And I believe in them. I know that they will do a very good job. Thank you.
Adiel, don't go. Don't go. I have an answer for you. I want to answer you. On behalf of the board, we believe in them because we believe that you did select the best from Africa. And I want to assure you that we will work with them and we will ensure we get them a CEO that will work with them and make Africa very much better. Thank you. Thank you all. This session is over.
Thank you, everyone. So just after the session, there is the Internet Routing Registry BOF. I will ask everyone who wants to attend the BOF to just follow Yogesh. Yogesh, are you in the room? Yeah. Yogesh will bring you to the IRR BOF. So before leaving the room, regarding the gala dinner, make sure that you have an invitation because you will board the bus only if you have an invitation. Can you please listen to me, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you have your gala dinner invitation. If you do not have the invitation, you will not be able to board on the bus. So the bus are leaving at 7 at the reception of NSC, and it will go to the reception of Voila around 7:10, and to the reception of Suffren around 7:20. So that's it.